The vet couldn't believe his eyes. "Stop the procedure," he whispered, his voice trembling. The nurse froze mid-step, staring at what lay on the table. A mother dog had just given birth, but the puppies weren't normal. Their fur shimmered under the light, their tiny bodies pulsing with a soft golden glow. Sarah, the dog's owner, backed away in shock. "What's wrong with them?" she cried. But the vet only shook his head. "Nothing's wrong. Something's different." Within seconds, the entire clinic descended into chaos. Machines flickered, lights dimmed, and the puppies began making sounds no one could explain. What started as a simple birth became a secret the government tried to bury. Stay till the end because this story will leave you breathless. Before we start, make sure to hit like, share, and subscribe. And really, I'm curious, where are you watching from? Drop your country name in the comments. I love seeing how far our stories travel. The night had grown unusually quiet, the kind of silence that makes even the hum of the refrigerator sound loud. Sarah sat on the couch scrolling absent-mindedly through her phone when a faint whimper caught her attention. She turned and saw Bella, her pregnant pit bull, pacing back and forth near the door, her nails clicking softly against the hardwood floor. Bella's belly was enormous, far larger than what Sarah had seen in any normal pregnancy. The vet had assured her the dog was healthy, but tonight, something felt wrong. "Hey girl," Sarah whispered, setting her phone aside and kneeling beside her. Bella didn't respond the way she usually did. Instead, she froze, staring toward the window with her ears flat, her breathing shallow and fast. A low, anxious growl vibrated in her throat. Sarah frowned. "What is it? You okay?" She reached out to comfort her, but Bella backed away, tail tucked, eyes darting around the room as if she sensed something invisible. For the past few days, Bella had refused to eat much. She'd dig at her bedding, then move to another spot and dig again, whining under her breath. At first, Sarah thought it was just nesting behavior, a sign labor might be close, but this was different. It was like Bella was guarding something or someone. Sarah checked her temperature again. Normal. Her heart rate? A little high, but expected for late pregnancy. Still, her instincts screamed that something was off. She glanced at the clock. 11:42 p.m. Outside, thunder rumbled faintly in the distance and the wind rattled the window pane. Bella flinched at the sound, pressing herself against the wall. "You're scaring me, sweetheart," Sarah murmured, stroking her head gently. Bella whimpered, then rested her head on Sarah's lap for just a moment before jerking upright again, pacing in small, frantic circles. Her breathing was uneven, her eyes wide with fear. Then came the strangest thing. Bella began pawing at the door, not like she wanted to go out, but as if she wanted Sarah to follow her somewhere. She barked once sharply, staring back over her shoulder with a pleading look. Sarah hesitated, heart pounding. "What is it, girl? Show me?" she asked. The dog barked again, louder this time, and then collapsed onto the carpet, trembling. Sarah gasped, realizing what was happening. Labor had begun, but deep down she couldn't shake one terrifying thought. Whatever was coming tonight, it wasn't going to be normal. Sarah's heart raced as Bella lay trembling on the floor, her sides heaving with uneven breaths. The storm outside had grown louder, lightning flickering through the windows in quick, nervous bursts. Sarah knelt beside her dog, gently rubbing her neck. "It's okay, baby. I'm here," she whispered, though her voice shook. She could feel Bella's body twitch beneath her hand, anxious, frightened, almost. Conflicted for weeks, Sarah had prepared for this night. She'd read every article about canine births, watched countless videos, even turned the laundry room into a makeshift nursery, clean towels, soft bedding, a heating pad in the corner. But now, as Bella's eyes darted around in panic, Sarah realized nothing she'd read could prepare her for this. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. Bella had always trusted her, always been calm during storms or sickness. But tonight the dog's behavior was unpredictable. One moment she pressed her head against Sarah's arm for comfort. The next, she'd growl softly as if trying to warn her of danger. Her belly looked swollen beyond normal limits, tight and stretched like it could burst. Sarah bit her lip, panic bubbling inside her chest. She grabbed her phone and scrolled to the vet's number. Her thumb hovered over the call button, but she hesitated. What could she even say? "Hi, my dog looks..." Too pregnant? The thought sounded ridiculous, but looking at Bella's massive stomach, it didn't feel funny at all. The dog whimpered again, pawing weakly at the floor. Sarah noticed something that made her heart skip. A faint, irregular movement under Bella's skin, like something shifting inside her belly. She'd seen puppies move before during pregnancy, but this was different. The motions were strange. Too strong, too synchronized. Sarah swallowed hard. Okay, she murmured, standing up quickly. We're going to the clinic. Right now. She reached for the leash, but Bella refused to move. The dog let out a long, guttural whine that sent shivers down Sarah's spine. She crouched down again, trying to comfort her. Please, girl, you have to get up. But Bella stayed put, staring at the door with glassy, unblinking eyes. The thunder cracked again, and the room filled with the sound of wind howling outside. Sarah's pulse quickened. She didn't know what was happening inside her dog's body, but one thing was clear. Bella was in distress and time was running out. Sarah grabbed her car keys with shaking hands. Hang on, baby, she whispered. We're getting you help. But as she opened the door, Bella suddenly let out a sound Sarah had never heard before, a deep, haunting cry that made her freeze. It was the sound of fear and something else. Something coming. Rain splattered against the windshield as Sarah's car tore through the empty streets, headlights slicing through the darkness. Bella lay on the back seat, her breath sharp and uneven, eyes half closed. Every few seconds, her body convulsed, a low moan escaping her throat. Sarah's knuckles turned white around the steering wheel. Hold on, girl. We're almost there, she whispered, her voice trembling between fear and hope. Lightning flashed, and for an instant, Sarah saw Bella's reflection in the rearview mirror, the dog's enormous belly shifting as if something inside was fighting to come out. A chill ran down her spine. The movements were violent, unnatural. She pressed harder on the gas pedal. By the time she reached the clinic parking lot, the storm was in full fury. Sarah jumped out, throwing open the back door. Come on, Bella, you've got this. But Bella didn't move. Her body was trembling, eyes fixed on Sarah as if pleading for help. Sarah scooped her arms under Bella's front legs, struggling to lift her. The dog was heavy, far heavier than she'd expected, but adrenaline kept her going. She staggered through the rain, soaked to the bone, and burst through the clinic's glass doors. Inside, the night nurse looked up, startled. We need help, Sarah cried. She's in labor, but something's wrong. The nurse rushed forward, guiding her to the emergency room. Set her here gently, she said, pulling a sterile sheet onto the examination table. Bella whimpered as Sarah helped her up. The nurse checked her vitals, frowning. Heart rate's high. Breathing unstable. We need to call the vet in now. She pressed a button on the wall, her calm tone cracking slightly. Sarah watched helplessly as Bella's contractions grew stronger, her body arching in pain. Come on, baby. Breathe, Sarah whispered, stroking her head. Tears welled in her eyes. She had raised Bella since she was a pup, through sickness, storms, and every lonely night. Seeing her like this was unbearable. Then, suddenly, Bella let out a cry that echoed through the sterile hallways. The nurse jumped back. A rush of fluid spread beneath her, followed by heavy breathing. She's close, the nurse said urgently. Get towels, quick. Sarah gripped Bella's paw, whispering, You can do this, girl. Just hang on. The storm raged outside, thunder shaking the windows. In that moment, as Bella's breathing grew ragged and her eyes rolled back, Sarah knew. The night had only just begun, and whatever was about to arrive would change everything forever. The clock on the clinic wall read 12:07 a.m. when the situation turned critical. Bella's cries grew louder, echoing through the sterile halls as the storm outside pounded against the windows. Sarah stood frozen, her heart thundering in her chest. The nurse, pale and tense, grabbed the phone and called the on-duty vet. Dr. Collins, it's urgent. We have a pregnant pit bull in distress. You need to get here now. Moments later, the door burst open and Dr. Collins hurried in, still pulling on his gloves. What's her condition? He asked sharply. The nurse handed over the chart, her voice shaking. Severe contractions, erratic pulse, abnormal swelling, possible complications. Dr. Collins knelt beside Bella, his trained eyes scanning her trembling body. Easy, girl, he murmured, placing a hand gently on her abdomen. His brow furrowed immediately. Her size? This isn't right. How far along did you say she was? 8 weeks, Sarah said quickly, wiping tears from her cheeks. She's supposed to deliver any day now. He looked up, frowning. She shouldn't be this enlarged. There could be internal pressure, maybe twins overlapping or worse, fluid buildup. He turned to the nurse. Prepare the ultrasound now. Within seconds, the room transformed into controlled chaos. Machines beeped, gloves snapped, and the scent of disinfectant filled the air. Sarah stood near the wall, arms wrapped tightly around herself, trying to breathe through the panic clawing at her chest. Dr. Collins ran the ultrasound probe across Bella's belly. The screen flickered, revealing movement, lots of it. "Good God," he whispered. The nurse gasped softly. The screen showed not one or two, but many shapes shifting inside. The patterns were erratic, almost overlapping. "Are those all puppies?" Sarah asked, voice trembling. The vet didn't answer immediately. "They're alive, but—" He adjusted the image, zooming in. "Something's not right about their positioning." His tone carried unease. "It's like they're clustered together in an unnatural way." Bella whimpered again, a sharp, desperate sound. Her body tensed violently and her paw scraped weakly at the table. "We can't wait any longer," Dr. Collins said, grabbing surgical tools. "She's going into distress. We need to assist delivery now." The lights flickered as thunder crashed nearby. Sarah moved closer, clutching Bella's collar, whispering through tears, "You're strong, baby. You've got this." Dr. Collins met her eyes briefly. "Whatever happens, stay calm," he said softly. "This could get complicated." As another contraction hit, Bella's body arched and the first glimpse of something dark and wet emerged. The nurse froze mid-breath. Dr. Collins blinked in disbelief. Whatever was being born didn't look like any normal puppy. The sterile scent of antiseptic hung thick in the air as the storm outside roared like an angry ocean. Thunder cracked so violently that the lights flickered for a heartbeat. Sarah stood at the foot of the examination table, drenched in fear and rain, watching as Dr. Collins and his team worked with urgent precision. Bella's breathing was ragged now. Every inhale a struggle, every exhale a desperate cry. "Stay with us, girl," Sarah whispered, stroking her muzzle. Bella's eyes fluttered weakly. She seemed to be fighting an invisible force inside her own body. The vet's hands moved quickly, adjusting instruments and wiping sweat from his forehead. "Pressure's dropping," the nurse announced, panic creeping into her voice. Dr. Collins's tone turned firm. "We don't have much time." "Sarah, step back." Sarah obeyed, though every instinct screamed to stay by her dog's side. From where she stood, she could see the monitor flashing erratically. The tiny, moving blurs inside Bella's womb were alive, but something about them made the vet's face tighten with unease. "Get the oxygen ready," he ordered. "If we don't stabilize her, both she and the litter are at risk." The nurse adjusted the mask, slipping it over Bella's muzzle. The rhythmic hiss of oxygen filled the room, blending with the storm's rumble outside. Sarah pressed a trembling hand to her chest, whispering a silent prayer. "Please let them be okay." Suddenly, Bella whimpered and pushed again, harder this time. The vet's gloved hands caught the first small form as it slipped free, wrapped in fluid and trembling. He leaned closer, his expression changing instantly. "Wait," he muttered. The nurse blinked. "What is it?" Dr. Collins didn't answer right away. He wiped the newborn gently, clearing the fluids. But as the towel pulled away, his eyes widened. The tiny creature squirmed, letting out a soft sound. Not a normal puppy whine, but something deeper, almost resonant. The fur was darker than expected, silver gray with faint luminous streaks beneath the skin, glowing subtly under the light. Sarah gasped, stepping forward. "Oh my God. Is that—" The vet looked up, eyes sharp. "That's not a normal puppy." A chilling silence filled the room. The nurse stood frozen, towel in hand, staring at the strange newborn. Outside, the rain hammered against the windows as if echoing the tension in the air. Dr. Collins exhaled slowly. "Something's different about this litter," he whispered. "And we're just getting started." Bella whimpered again, her body convulsing as another contraction began. The vet braced himself, voice tight. "Everyone get ready. More are coming." Time seemed to slow as Dr. Collins carefully cradled the newborn in his gloved hands. The tiny creature shivered, its damp fur glistening under the harsh fluorescent lights. But it wasn't just wet. It shimmered, faintly reflecting shades of silver and blue as if light was coming from beneath its skin. The nurse blinked hard, thinking it must be a trick of the light, but when the pup moved again, the glow pulsed softly, alive and real. Sarah took a hesitant step forward. What's wrong with it?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper. Dr. Collins shook his head, eyes locked on the newborn. "I don't know," he admitted. "Its vitals are strong, but look at this." He gently turned the puppy over, revealing small translucent patches along its belly where faint blue veins pulsed like liquid light. This isn't normal canine physiology. The nurse's voice trembled. Could it be a genetic mutation? Maybe, the vet murmured. But it's too symmetrical, too precise. Nature doesn't make patterns this perfect. Bella whimpered again, her body tensing for another contraction. Dr. Collins set the strange puppy into a clean towel, wrapping it gently. It whimpered softly, then shockingly opened its eyes. Not the usual cloudy newborn glaze, but sharp, aware amber eyes that met Sarah's directly. Sarah gasped and stumbled back. It looked at me. The nurse glanced between them. Newborns can't focus yet. That's impossible. But the pup continued staring, blinking slowly as if recognizing her. It made a faint sound, half whine, half hum, that sent chills through the room. Dr. Collins exchanged a look with the nurse. "Get a reading on oxygen and heart rate," he said quickly. "I want to know what we're dealing with." The nurse hooked up a tiny sensor and the monitor beeped to life. Steady, strong, almost too strong. Heart rate's elevated, but stable, she said. Sarah knelt beside the table, drawn by something she couldn't explain. The puppy stopped whining and tilted its tiny head toward her, the glow beneath its skin fading to a warm gold. "You're beautiful," she whispered, tears filling her eyes. For a brief, fragile moment, everything stilled, the storm outside, the chaos, even Bella's labored breathing. Then another deep contraction racked the mother's body. Dr. Collins straightened immediately. "Second one's coming." As the next puppy emerged, the vet's breath caught in his throat. This one was different too. Smaller, but with markings that formed shapes, almost symbols. He looked at Sarah, voice low and awed. "These aren't normal puppies, Sarah." Not even close. The room fell into stunned silence. The second puppy lay beside the first, its fur still slick from birth. But unlike its sibling, its coat shimmered with an iridescent sheen, a strange blend of silver and deep bronze that seemed to shift colors as the light hit it. Its tiny chest rose and fell in perfect rhythm. But the oddest thing wasn't how it looked. It was the faint vibration in the air every time it exhaled. The heart monitor fluttered, reacting to something invisible. Dr. Collins stared, speechless. He had delivered hundreds of litters over the years, some premature, some malformed, but nothing like this. "This doesn't make sense," he whispered. "This isn't just genetic variation. It's engineered," the nurse frowned. "Engineered? Like human interference?" He didn't answer. He moved closer, gently examining the pup's paw pads, eyes widening as he noticed small hexagonal ridges along the skin, too organized to be natural. He turned to Sarah, voice tight. "Did you say you adopted Bella from a shelter?" "Yes," Sarah said nervously. "About a year ago. Why?" Dr. Collins removed his gloves, his hands trembling. "Where exactly did she come from?" Sarah's mind raced. "Willow Creek Rescue Center. They said she'd been found near an old military base. No microchip, no ID tags." The vet's face went pale. "A base?" Before Sarah could answer, Bella whimpered loudly. Another contraction hit, stronger than before. "She's not done," the nurse said urgently. "We've got another one coming." Dr. Collins quickly regained focus, pulling on new gloves. "Okay, stay with me, Bella. Easy now." The third pup arrived moments later, and when the vet lifted it from the towel, his expression changed again, this time to sheer disbelief. The puppy's fur was pitch black, but under the light, faint glowing lines ran along its spine, perfectly symmetrical like circuitry. Sarah covered her mouth, tears spilling down her cheeks. "What's happening to her babies?" The vet set the puppy down beside the others, his voice barely audible. "These aren't normal puppies, Sarah. Their anatomy, their markings, none of this is random. It's as if someone altered their DNA." The nurse swallowed hard. "But why? Who would do that?" Before anyone could answer, Bella let out a low growl, a deep protective sound that echoed through the room. She was exhausted, but her eyes burned with fierce determination. Her gaze shifted between the humans and her newborns as if warning them, "Stay away." Dr. Collins took a cautious step back, whispering, "Whatever she is, she knows these puppies are not ordinary." Thunder rolled again, shaking the clinic walls as the storm outside intensified. Inside, the room glowed faintly, not from the overhead lights, but from the newborns themselves. Their subtle luminescence reflected off the stainless steel instruments, casting an eerie, almost celestial glow. Sarah stood frozen, her eyes darting between the puppies. Each was alive, breathing, moving, but impossibly different. The first had silver skin beneath its fur. The second shimmered like bronze under moonlight, and the third pulsed with faint golden lines that looked like living circuits. Dr. Collins ran a shaky hand through his hair. "I've never seen anything like this in all my years," he muttered. "Their patterns, their synchronization, it's unnatural. Almost designed." The nurse, wide-eyed, kept her distance. Could it be radiation? Or exposure to something? The vet shook his head. No, these features aren't deformities. They're symmetrical, precise, purposeful. He leaned closer to one of the puppies as it stretched its tiny limbs. "Look at this," he said softly. The newborn opened its mouth, not to cry but to emit a faint hum. The sound was soft, melodic, vibrating through the air like a distant tuning fork. The other two responded, their tiny bodies shivering in rhythm, echoing the same tone. Sarah's heart pounded. "They're communicating?" Dr. Collins didn't answer, his eyes locked on the readings. The heart monitors flickered in sync with the strange sounds. Every pulse, every breath, it all matched perfectly. Bella lifted her head weakly, panting, watching over them with fierce eyes. Despite her exhaustion, she pushed herself closer to the litter, licking each one gently as if reassuring them. Sarah knelt beside her, placing a trembling hand on her back. "You're doing so well, girl," she whispered. The nurse turned back to the vet. "Should we call animal control? Or a research lab?" Dr. Collins shook his head firmly. "No, not yet. Whatever's happening here, it's beyond what they'd understand. We need answers before we hand them over to anyone." Lightning flashed outside, illuminating the room for a split second. And in that brief light, Sarah noticed something strange. The puppy's eyes were open. All three of them. And in the reflection of the window, she could see them staring at her, not blankly, but with awareness. "They're watching me," she whispered. Dr. Collins turned sharply, following her gaze. His jaw tightened. "Sarah," he said carefully, "I think these puppies recognize you." Before she could respond, Bella growled, a low, warning sound that sent chills through everyone in the room. Something deeper was at play here. And whatever it was only just beginning. For a long moment, no one in the clinic moved. The air felt heavy, humming faintly with the same low resonance coming from the puppies. Sarah's chest tightened, her instincts torn between fear and wonder. The tiny creatures huddled close to Bella, glowing softly, breathing in perfect unison. The sound they made wasn't just noise, it was soothing, melodic, almost like a lullaby. The tension in the room began to shift, transforming from panic to stunned amazement. Sarah slowly crouched beside Bella, unable to look away. "They're beautiful," she whispered. Her trembling hand hovered above one of the puppies, afraid to touch it. It blinked up at her, eyes bright amber, far too alert for a newborn. When she finally laid her fingers gently on its back, warmth surged through her palm. Not just heat, something else. A calm, pulsing energy that made her skin prickle. Dr. Collins watched carefully, still cautious. "You said you adopted Bella, right? No records, no history?" Sarah nodded, voice shaking. "They said she'd been rescued from the edge of an old testing facility. I thought she was just another stray." The vet exhaled deeply, his gaze fixed on the glowing litter. "This might explain everything. If she was near a facility like that, she could have been exposed to experimental compounds, or part of a program herself." The nurse frowned. "You mean these puppies are mutations?" "Not mutations," Collins said quietly. "Something far more deliberate." Sarah looked at the puppies again, this time not with fear but awe. "They don't look dangerous," she said softly. "They look special." One of the pups stretched its tiny paw toward her, touching her wrist. The glow beneath its skin brightened at the contact. And for a brief second, Sarah felt her pulse sync with its rhythm. She gasped, tears springing to her eyes. "Did you feel that?" she asked, looking up. Dr. Collins shook his head, confused. "Feel what?" "They're alive in a way that's different," she whispered. "Like they understand." Bella nudged her hand gently as if confirming it. The hum from the puppies softened, fading into a quiet harmony that filled the room with warmth. Even the nurse, who had been trembling moments earlier, couldn't look away. Dr. Collins stepped back, his voice low. Whatever they are, they're not just animals. They might be something humanity hasn't seen before. Sarah stroked Bella's head, her fear melting into quiet reverence. Then maybe, she whispered, smiling faintly through her tears, we're not meant to fear them. Maybe we're meant to protect them. Outside, the storm finally began to ease, but inside the clinic, a new storm was only beginning to stir. The storm had passed, but inside the clinic the tension only grew thicker. The faint hum from the puppies still filled the room, rhythmic and hauntingly beautiful. Dr. Collins couldn't look away from them. His curiosity now burned stronger than fear. I need to know what's inside them, he said quietly, turning to the nurse. Prepare the portable scanner. Sarah's eyes widened. Wait, you're not going to hurt them, are you? He shook his head. No, I just need to understand what we're dealing with. The nurse rolled over a small diagnostic unit, a handheld device used for internal imaging. Dr. Collins adjusted the settings and hovered the scanner gently over the first pup's body. The monitor flickered, lines of color forming across the screen. His brow furrowed. That can't be right. What do you mean? Sarah asked nervously. Look. He turned the screen toward her. Instead of a normal skeletal image, there were faint metallic traces along the spine, thin, thread-like structures that pulsed with each heartbeat. There's something embedded inside, he whispered. Tiny filaments like microchips. The nurse's face turned pale. Microchips? But that's impossible. They're newborns. Dr. Collins ran another scan over the second puppy, his breath catching. Same thing. And look here. The readings show faint electromagnetic activity. He stepped back, shaking his head. Someone designed this. Sarah's stomach churned. Designed? You mean? They were made. He hesitated before answering. Not made, modified. He glanced toward Bella, who was now resting weakly but keeping her eyes fixed on her pups. Your dog might not just be a rescue, Sarah. She could be part of a government breeding experiment. The nurse frowned. Why would anyone experiment on dogs like this? Dr. Collins sighed. Military research. Enhanced sensory perception, resilience, neural linking. These readings show traits far beyond natural biology. He paused, his tone darkening. But the fact that she gave birth naturally means something went wrong, or maybe it went right. Sarah's pulse raced. So you're saying Bella's puppies are some kind of hybrid? Possibly, he admitted. But this is beyond anything I've read or seen. Whoever engineered this didn't just want smarter dogs, they wanted something more. Something that could connect. He glanced at the glowing litter. The three puppies looked peaceful, breathing in rhythm, their tiny bodies pulsing faintly with light. The nurse shivered. They're sinking again, she whispered. Dr. Collins lowered his voice. We need to run more tests, but off the record. If this gets out, the wrong people will come looking. Sarah looked down at Bella and her pups, her voice barely audible. Then we have to protect them, no matter what. Dr. Collins leaned back against the counter, his expression dark and distant. Sarah, he said quietly, I think I've heard of something like this before. A long time ago. His tone sent a chill through her. The nurse exchanged a nervous glance with him. You mean one of those military rumors? She whispered. He nodded slowly. About 10 years ago, there was a classified project, Project Helios. The idea was to genetically enhance canine units for military use. They wanted dogs with advanced senses, near-human intelligence, and something else, biological interfacing. Sarah frowned. Interfacing? With what? With humans, Dr. Collins said gravely. They were trying to create animals that could form direct neural bonds with their handlers, feel their emotions, sense danger, even respond to unspoken commands. He rubbed his temples. The project was shut down after rumors of side effects, animals that became too self-aware, too protective. Sarah's heart sank. You think Bella was part of that program? It's possible, he said. If she was found near a decommissioned base, that lines up. Some of those dogs disappeared before the shutdown. The file said they were lost in transfer, but that usually means someone let them go. Sarah's mind reeled. She remembered the day she first saw Bella, a quiet, timid stray trembling behind the shelter bars. She'd been covered in scars, her eyes haunted yet intelligent. Sarah had felt an instant connection, like the dog had chosen her. She always seemed too smart, Sarah whispered, like she understood what I said. She'd react before I gave any command. Dr. Collins nodded. That's consistent with Helios prototypes. They weren't supposed to reproduce, though. He looked toward the glowing pups, which means something in her DNA adapted, evolved. The nurse stepped closer, whispering, "Doctor, if this is real, we shouldn't be talking about it." "People disappeared over those files." Sarah's stomach twisted. "What do you mean, people disappeared?" "Anyone who tried to expose the program," Dr. Collins said. "If Bella's puppies are proof the experiment succeeded, they'll come for her." Sarah bent down, stroking Bella's fur gently. The mother dog lifted her head weakly, her eyes meeting Sarah's. Steady, trusting, knowing. "I won't let anyone take you or your babies," Sarah murmured. "I promise." Outside, the rain had stopped, but the air still buzzed with electricity. In that eerie calm, Dr. Collins stared at the door, his gut telling him something none of them wanted to admit. If Project Helios was real, then it wasn't over. And Bella's litter might be the key to bringing it back. Morning came cloaked in uneasy silence. The storm had passed, but the clinic felt colder somehow. Too still, too quiet. Sarah sat near Bella's recovery bed, her hand resting gently on the dog's side. The puppies slept soundly beside their mother, faint golden light pulsing beneath their tiny skins. It was mesmerizing and terrifying. Dr. Collins had barely slept. He stood by the window watching the parking lot outside. His gut told him something was coming. "We should have stayed quiet," he murmured under his breath. The nurse looked up from her desk. "You think someone knows?" He didn't answer. He didn't need to. A pair of black SUVs turned into the lot, moving with calculated precision. Sarah noticed them too. "Who are they?" she asked, her voice barely audible. Dr. Collins' face hardened. "They're not here for a checkup." The clinic doors opened with a soft chime and 3 men stepped inside. Suits, polished shoes, and eyes too calm to be friendly. One flashed a badge. "Department of Veterinary Oversight," he said smoothly. "We received a report about a biological anomaly." Sarah froze. "What are you talking about?" "Who called you?" The man ignored her and turned to Dr. Collins. "You're Dr. James Collins?" He nodded warily. "Yes. We'll need access to all biological samples collected in the last 12 hours, the man continued. "And the animal involved." The nurse stepped protectively in front of the puppy's enclosure. "You can't just barge in here without a warrant." The lead agent's smile didn't reach his eyes. "This isn't a police matter. It's federal containment. Those animals fall under restricted genetic classification." Sarah's pulse spiked. "You mean you created them?" she snapped. The man turned his cold gaze on her. "Ma'am, I suggest you step aside. The animal in question carries classified genetic material." Dr. Collins stepped forward, voice steady. "She's a living being, not property." The agent's tone sharpened. "You have no idea what you're dealing with. That dog and her offspring are bioengineered assets. You're interfering with government research." Sarah's heart pounded as 2 of the men moved toward Bella's bed. Bella stirred instantly, her growl low and dangerous. The puppies, as if sensing danger, began to whimper in harmony, glowing brighter. Dr. Collins blocked their path. "You'll have to go through me first." The lead agent sighed, pulling a document from his coat. "We're authorized to take them. Now step aside." Sarah's eyes filled with tears. "No," she whispered, clutching Bella's collar. "You're not taking them." But deep down she knew. The government wouldn't leave without them, and neither would she. The air inside the clinic grew charged, thick with tension. Bella sensed it before anyone else did. Her ears flattened, her muscles tensed, and a deep growl rumbled from her chest, a warning that made the agents freeze in their tracks. Her golden eyes flickered in the light, filled not with fear but raw, primal defiance. "Stand down," the lead agent ordered, stepping forward. "Control your animal, ma'am." Sarah's voice trembled as she held Bella's collar tightly. "She's just protecting her puppies. Please don't get closer," but the agent ignored her. He nodded to one of his men who reached for a tranquilizer gun. That single motion was enough. Bella exploded into motion, lunging forward with a snarl that echoed through the clinic. The agent stumbled back, crashing into a tray of instruments as metallic clatters filled the room. "Bella, stop!" Sarah cried, but her words were drowned in chaos. The nurses screamed and Dr. Collins shoved Sarah toward the corner. "Stay down," he shouted. Bella stood between the agents and her litter, teeth bared, her growls guttural and fierce. Her fur bristled as the puppies whimpered behind her. their glow pulsing in perfect rhythm with her heartbeat, like they were linked. The lead agent raised his hand. "Take her down." But before the shot could be fired, something extraordinary happened. The lights flickered again, and a faint vibration rippled through the air. The puppies began to hum, the same strange frequency as before, only louder this time. The tranquilizer dart shot toward Bella and stopped midair, suspended for a split second before dropping harmlessly to the floor. Everyone froze. Dr. Collins' eyes widened. Did they just... The humming intensified, vibrating through the glass, making the lights pulse and sync. Bella stood tall, her body trembling with exhaustion yet glowing faintly from the reflected light of her pups. She let out one final powerful bark that shook the room, and the agent stumbled back, clutching their ears. Sarah ran to her side, tears streaking her face. "It's okay, girl. It's okay." The agents regrouped quickly, their faces pale with shock. "We're leaving," the lead one barked. "Seal the perimeter. They're coming with us one way or another." Dr. Collins glared at him. "You'll have to kill us first." The man's cold stare said he wasn't joking. "If that's what it takes." Bella stood protectively over her puppies, panting, eyes blazing. No one moved. For the first time, even the government agents understood. This wasn't just an animal. This was a mother ready to fight a war for her children. The tension broke like glass. "Grab them!" the lead agent shouted, but Bella moved first. With a fierce snarl, she lunged, knocking over a metal tray that clattered across the floor. The distraction was enough. Dr. Collins grabbed Sarah's arm. "We have to go now." Sarah didn't hesitate. She scooped the glowing puppies into a towel-lined box while Bella circled protectively, snarling at the agents trying to advance. One of them raised his tranquilizer gun again, but Dr. Collins yanked the fire alarm. The shrill wail echoed through the clinic, flashing red lights blinding the men for a second. "Go," he yelled. Smoke filled the hallways as the emergency system triggered. The sprinklers burst to life, drenching everything in cold water. Sarah ran, clutching the box close to her chest, her breath ragged. Bella limped beside her, exhausted but determined, her wet fur gleaming under the flickering lights. "Back exit," Dr. Collins shouted, leading them through the corridor. The nurse held the door open, fear etched across her face. "They're right behind you." The moment Sarah and Bella burst into the alley, two more agents appeared from the shadows. "Stop right there," one barked, aiming his weapon. Sarah froze, then Bella stepped forward, standing between her and the guns. "Don't shoot," Dr. Collins roared, stepping in front of them. "You'll hit her." But the agents didn't care. "Those animals are government property," one shouted back. Sarah's hands trembled. "They're not property, they're alive." Lightning flashed again as thunder rolled above. In that instant, Bella barked once, sharp and powerful. The sound reverberated unnaturally like an invisible force. The agents stumbled, disoriented. The puppy's faint glow intensified from inside the box, the air buzzing with energy. The car keys jingled in Dr. Collins's shaking hands as he threw open the clinic van. "Get in!" Sarah jumped in the passenger seat, clutching the box as Bella leapt in after her, panting hard. Dr. Collins slammed the accelerator just as bullets shattered the van's rear window. The tires screeched on wet pavement, fishtailing out of the alley. Red and blue lights began flashing in the distance. Sirens wailed. Sarah turned to look back. The agents were already chasing. "They're not going to stop," she cried. Dr. Collins gritted his teeth, eyes fixed on the road ahead. "Then we won't either." Bella rested her head on Sarah's lap, her body trembling but her eyes calm, trusting. The puppies inside the box glowed softly, the light pulsing like a heartbeat. Somewhere deep inside, Sarah knew this wasn't just an escape. It was the beginning of something far bigger than any of them could imagine. The van tore down the deserted highway, tires hissing over the rain-soaked asphalt. Dawn was beginning to break, casting streaks of gold and pink across the sky. Sarah held the box of puppies tightly, feeling their warmth against her chest. Bella lay stretched across the back seat, her breathing heavy but steady. Dr. Collins drove in silence, eyes scanning the rearview mirror for headlights. For the first time all night, the road behind them was empty. "They stopped following," Sarah whispered. Dr. Collins didn't answer. His knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "For now," he muttered. "But they'll keep looking. We've got to disappear before they regroup." They finally pulled off into the woods far from the highway. The forest was quiet except for the sound of dripping leaves and distant birds. Sarah stepped out, cradling the puppies as sunlight filtered through the trees, making their faint glow shimmer even brighter. Hum began again, soft and melodic, but this time it wasn't eerie. It was warm, peaceful, beautiful. The other two joined in, their tiny bodies glowing brighter until the entire clearing was bathed in a soft, ethereal light. Dr. Collins blinked, his voice. For a moment, everything felt peaceful. The chaos, the fear, it all faded beneath the sight of Bella licking her newborns gently, her tail thumping weakly against the dirt. Dr. Collins knelt beside them, his eyes soft. "You did it, girl," he whispered. "You saved them." Sarah smiled through tears. "No," she said. "She saved us." One of the puppies, a small silver one, lifted its head and stared directly at her. Its eyes weren't just amber anymore. They shimmered with faint hues of gold and green. The same CE, barely a whisper. It's like they're connected to her. To each other. Sarah felt something stir inside her, a calm, a deep sense of understanding that words couldn't capture. She looked at Bella and then at the puppies. Maybe that's what they were trying to create, she said quietly. Connection, not control. Collins nodded slowly. If that's true, then they succeeded, but not in the way they expected. The light slowly faded as the puppies drifted back to sleep, curled up against their mother. Sarah wrapped her arms around Bella, whispering, "You're safe now, I promise." Dr. Collins looked out toward the rising sun. "They'll come again," he said softly. "But next time the world might be ready to see what these animals truly are." Sarah turned to him, her voice steady. "They're not experiments, Doctor," she smiled faintly. "They're miracles." And as the first rays of sunlight kissed the earth, the forest fell silent again, guarding the secret of a mother, her extraordinary puppies, and the night the impossible was born.